What does the US $1 bill, Sydney's New Year's Eve fireworks, the Tom and Jerry cartoon, and Lady Gaga all have in common? They all use the symbol of the all-seeing eye. In this episode, we'll delve into the use of the all-seeing eye over the last 200 plus years, during which time this once pristine and positive symbol has gained increasingly malevolent use and implications. On the show today, I have David from The Conscious Reporter joining me again to talk about part 2 of his article on the all-seeing eye. His latest article is called The All-Seeing Eye, Modern Use of a Hijacked Symbol. Hey David, welcome back.
Hi Jenny, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, it's really great to be able to get you back on right away to dig into this issue more. So David, in this article you explore the shift of use of this symbol. You described it as being a symbol that was first used in a positive and pristine way, but is now becoming emblematic of elitist oppression, surveillance, demonic influence, and control. Let's explore this shift, and to get us started, let's talk about Freemasonry and the Great Seal of America, and the all-seeing eye's appearance there.
The Great Seal was approved by Congress in 1782, however it wasn't until 1797 that Freemasons started publicly using the eye and pyramid symbol themselves. Although considering all the cathedrals that were built in Europe in, say, the 18th century or earlier part of the 18th century where there were eye and pyramid symbols appearing and those cathedrals being built by the Masons, you have to wonder whether maybe they were influencing those all-seeing eyes appearing on those cathedrals. So perhaps privately they used the symbol, and as we know, there's a lot of Freemasons involved in the founding of America. Either the founding fathers themselves were Freemasons or they had close ties to Freemasonry. And so it wasn't until 1782 that the Great Seal was adopted by the Congress, and then in 1797 in Thomas Smith Webb's Freemasons Monitor, that's where the Masons first identified this symbol as being one that they would use. And the quote from Webb in the Freemasons Monitor talks about it basically being a symbol for the great architect overlooking creation and being able to see into men's hearts and being able to judge their merits and reward them accordingly. So in terms of that, and in terms of the spirit of the Declaration of Independence, it would seem that the all-seeing eye was a good use of it, and this new venture, this new country starting, this, the world's first true democracy starting. So in that way, it's a new order of the ages. So it would seem at this stage that it's still a positive use of the all-seeing eye symbol.
Yeah, very interesting. The US $1 bill has the all-seeing eye in the back of it, along with kind of other peculiar designs. What's up with that? Why is it on the back of the $1 bill, and what does it mean?
So the reverse side of the Great Seal was placed on the US $1 bill by President Franklin Roosevelt, who was a 32nd degree Mason, and he did so at the suggestion of his counterpart Henry Wallace, who was the Minister for Agriculture. And both Wallace and Roosevelt were known 32nd degree Masons. And so at some point, they must have come across this symbol and perhaps thought it was a neat idea to put this Masonic symbol on the dollar bill. But there's all sorts of theories around why they did so and what exactly it meant for them. So some people think that Wallace suggested it to Roosevelt after it was suggested to Wallace by Nicholas Roerich, who was a Russian mystic at the time, and who some people think was part of an Illuminati along with Wallace and perhaps Roosevelt, and that they placed the symbol on there as an Illuminati symbol of control and perhaps of demonic influence, and that they put it on this dollar bill, which the dollar bill itself, the US currency, soon became the world currency and a key mechanism of control for world finance along with the central banking system. So there's that kind of interpretation of it, coupled with the Latin words, which can be interpreted different ways as well, such as annuit coeptus, meaning he approves of our beginning. So was that Illuminati members saying that their God approved of their system of control coming in? Or did it mean, God approved of this new currency that would help the world? And then there's Novus Ordo Seclorum, which means New Order of the Ages, or it can also be translated as New World Order. So again, that can be interpreted two ways, either as a benevolent thing, or is it this, system of control being incrementally brought in across the world?
Yeah, very interesting. In your article, you discuss the modern usage of the all-seeing eye. What are some examples of its usage today, and what does it often mean today for people?
Yeah, so following on from it being placed on the dollar bill in 1934, of more recent times it's become more and more prominent in things such as corporate logos. Again, big worldwide corporations incorporating this motif of the all-seeing eye. Also appearing in government agency logos where it's symbolic of the surveillance and control of government. So, for example, the NROL 39 logo, so the National Reconnaissance Office launching a satellite for surveillance, and the logo they've used is this ominous-looking octopus with its tentacles enveloping the world, and there's only one eye showing on the octopus, and it's all a bit sinister, really.
Yeah, that one's pretty crazy.
I know, people see that, and straight away it's not unreasonable for them to have start to have this negative association with the one eye or the all-seeing eye, particularly as related to all these government surveillance agencies using that motif. And then following on from there, it's, of more recent times, it's just become more and more ubiquitous in pop culture in terms of music, rock stars and music videos, and also it's used a lot in Hollywood films and Hollywood movie posters. Also just in promotional material for beauty products. Quite a lot of times you'll see hair or makeup posters, and there's, the hair is positioned in such a way that it's covering one eye, or they've got their arm or hand over one eye in some sort of stylistic fashion. But again, it's just a way of getting that one eye symbol there. And, some people continue to associate this symbol with a so-called Illuminati and potential demonic influence, which people think exists over certain parts of the music and the Hollywood industry. So, it very much starts to take on, or continues to have increasingly, this negative association with it in people's minds when they see it. And also, mass public events, such as the London opening and closing ceremonies. There was several ways in which the all-seeing eye symbol was incorporated there. And also in 2012, the Super Bowl halftime show, it got incorporated there amongst a whole lot of other symbols used in a dark way. And then close on the tails of that, the Sydney New Year's Eve fireworks last year in 2013, where the secret symbol that gets revealed at midnight on the middle of the Harbour Bridge, lo and behold, this time it's the all-seeing eye, which straight away a lot of people thought was a strange symbol to use, especially considering the recent Snowden revelations from, just a few months earlier, which exposed to the world just how much the world is under surveillance, and all of a sudden a symbol of that surveillance is there in the middle of this public celebration of the new year. A lot of people question, what exactly is that doing there on the Harbour Bridge? So straight away people had this negative reaction to it from what I saw on social media.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I suppose it's good, that people at least kind of woke up to it. They're like, hey, what's going on? Why did they put an eye in the middle of the bridge?
Yeah, there's definitely a level of awareness there amongst the truth movement or people interested in the alternative media. But you have to question too, it appears a lot too even in kids' cartoons. And you've got to consider how do young people being exposed to all these music videos and Hollywood movies, if they're not aware of the alternative media, you have to wonder whether there's some sort of predictive programming going on there to get young people used to seeing this sort of symbol in order to bring something in the future, such as, this rumoured Illuminati goal of having one world government and a one world religion. Is this symbol going to be part of a so-called one world religion?
Who knows? In your article, you pose the question towards the end of it, why does it matter if a group displays some symbol publicly? Why does it matter?
Why does it matter? Well, symbols are very powerful. They speak, in a sort of subconscious way or telepathic way. So they can be very powerful or imbued with a lot of intent, and in that way have a power. And so with so many people around the world seeing this symbol and having this negative reaction to it, or a negative interpretation, it starts to imbue the symbol with that sort of negative negativity. But in reality, this symbol originates from something positive. And so, I think it's important to be, speaking about the things that are wrong in the world, and the way this symbol has degenerated, or the use of it and the interpretation of it, the way that's degenerated over time and become inverted. I see it as being part of the war on consciousness, and how something positive and pristine over time has eventually been turned around completely into, instead of being symbolic of a benevolent God, it's now more commonly seen as symbolic of an elite that's under a demonic influence and looking to control the whole world and have themselves a 1% separated from the rest of society.
Yeah, it's really disturbing. David, in exploring this topic fully, kind of searching and discovering the ancient origins of this symbol to learning more about the modern use of the symbol, what are your final thoughts on this issue?
Well, I guess, just to reiterate the point that, this symbol originated as something positive, something positive that's external to us, which is the divine, but also that same divinity that can exist initially as people say, as a spark within, which can then be worked upon and developed and increased. As I say in the article, it's interesting to note that when someone's in a sitting meditation position, that their body kind of forms like a triangle kind of shape. And so you can think of the third eye, the mid-brow chakra, being like the eye in the apex of that pyramid. And so, all these sorts of interpretations are the true original use of the symbol. And so I think it's good if we can keep using the symbol in that positive light and give it back its positive power and reclaim this symbol back from the darkness and reclaim it for the light as part of the war on consciousness.
For sure. Right on. Well said. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thanks for all the work that you've done into this issue. I really appreciate it. It's helped me to learn more about the origin of the symbol and kind of its path through history. And just reaffirming why it's so important to kind of put it back properly in its place. So thanks again.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks for having me on and giving me the opportunity to explain it further.